Okay, let's actually start evaluating our search results. I'm going to start off by doing a basic search in EBSCO full text on our familiar topic of media violence and children. Of course, if we wanted to quickly throw in our Boolean operators, we could do media and violence and children. Okay, we have our initial search results of about a little under 1,500. And what we want to do is obviously start going through and reading our search results. There are largely three things you're going to be doing as you search. First, you want to see, is this particular search result on topic? Second, you want to find out, is this particular search result a quality resource that is actually something that would be useful for me? And then third, you want to see, does this particular item give me any additional clues that could help me in my search? So additional clues might be another term to use, or particular studies that are mentioned, or models of behavior, or something like that for the particular type of example or search that you're doing. So if you looked at the earlier video about using Boolean operators, you'll notice here we have our first result. We have media violence, physical aggression, and relational aggression in school-aged children, a short-term longitudinal study. If we take a look, we can see that we don't have this particular item, but if this is actually perfect for us, then it's definitely something that we can't be deterred from getting. We can take a look and see right here, if we put our icon over the magnifying glass, in this particular database, it will show us more information. We have our publication type is an academic journal, so that's in our favor. It's extremely recent. This is also in our favor. And we have our abstract, which will give us a sort of a brief overview of what is actually happening in this particular academic article. You'll notice that many popular sources don't have a standard abstract. Many of them are just the introductory paragraphs of the material that you're looking at. So here we have, many studies have shown that media violence has an effect on children's subsequent aggression. So again, keywords we are popping out. You'll notice that media violence is a catchphrase. So in previous searches, I had separated media and violence. It does seem that there is the other option of just saying media violence as one particular concept. Next, we have, again, the word aggression is also used. This study expands upon previous research in three directions by examining several subtypes of aggression. And again, here we go, verbal, relational, and physical. If we wanted to actually break that down ourselves, instead of just talking about all different types of violence, we could talk about and study only verbal violence or emotional abuse or something like that. Abuse is obviously another word that you could potentially use. You notice as well that we have this particular term, media violence exposure, abbreviated MVE, and we're not certain, is this a special term that these authors use, or is this something that many people use? So exposure to media violence is probably a big portion of what people actually study. So that is another particular keyword that we would want to write down and keep in the back of our thoughts as we start to actually look through it. Children's consumption of media violence is another way of saying exposure. So that might be another aspect or concept that we may want to introduce into our searching. Also, we have here our actual subjects. Now, subjects are something that I will be talking about just a little later, but it is something we will definitely cover. If we keep going through our list, liking violence in action, an examination of gender differences in children's processing of animated content, you'll notice that animated content let's see here, it refers to cartoons, obviously animated films, that sort of thing, and I wonder if it would also include video games. We don't know. So again, we just start to look through our results, try and pick up different keywords. And you'll notice here really quickly, this is an academic journal. It is from 2011. And it, unfortunately, is not something that we actually have full text again. This next one, we do have full text. It's very nice. Violent video games and other media violence, part 1. I think this was a fairly familiar search topic if we looked at the other video about our Boolean searches. And if we wanted to take a look at it, what exactly is this? You'll notice right here, this is a periodical. Pediatrics for parents. So first off, we're getting, this is obviously it's about pediatrics, but it's for parents. This is a periodical, not an academic journal, that is written for parents. So this might be a beneficial source of information in that it'll give you a lot of the perspectives of scientists who are studying this, but it's written for parents, so it might be in more lay terms. The one thing is that you're not exactly certain what has been filtered in regards to this information. You may want to use it to find different studies that have been done, and to get sort of the different keywords or more keywords that could be used by researchers when they're speaking to lay people who are not obviously studying it in the field. Okay, so now let's actually take a look at the idea of subjects. Now, with this particular article, we have exposure, which is a word we should be familiar with now, exposure to media violence in young children with and without disabilities. You'll notice that this particular article is adding a new concept, which is specifically children with disabilities or without disabilities, and looking at that particular comparison. And it also is talking about powerful opportunities for family and professional partnerships, another layer or concept that is added to this particular topic. So if we look at this particular item in detail, we have, again, academic journal from 2008, so it's not too old. If we actually look at the different subjects, these subjects are essentially a way for many information people like librarians and that sort of thing. It's a way that we used to organize information. We used to actually apply these subjects to every single article that actually showed these were their main subjects, if that makes sense. So what essentially has happened is someone who does this all the time reviews every article, and particularly has reviewed this article and seen that these are the main subjects. It's a way for us to sort of simplify things. It's like going to any sort of index, which we talked about. Most databases are designed to be indexed, and you look them up by subject. This is essentially the subjects that you used to look things up by. So for this particular article, we have violence in mass media. That definitely applies. Television viewers, of course, is who we're looking at. Psychology is a general subject. Children with disabilities, again, is a narrower concept about the specific television viewers we're looking at. But we're also talking about family partnerships, services for children with disabilities, of course, child development. And it refers to the National Association for the Education of Young Children. If you're not familiar with this particular organization, you could easily do a Google search to find out who they are, and again, psychological aspects. And you'll notice that we have psychology and psychological aspects. They are slightly different in meaning. And what you may want to do is take note of what these subjects are, because you can actually search just by subject. So let's actually demonstrate that really quickly. Okay, now that we've actually looked at the subjects, let's actually put them to the test. Now, to actually search by subject, it's easier to go to an advanced search. Now, remember with an advanced search screen, you can actually manipulate and change things any way you want. So I'm going to start off by putting in one of our subject terms that we saw earlier, violence in mass media. I'm going to make sure that I actually designate it, that it is indeed a subject. And just to make sure, we don't want to talk about all forms of violence in mass media. It's very broad, so I want to make sure that we stay within our target of our topic, which is talking about children and violence in mass media. So I'm going to truncate this particular word just to keep it fairly broad, and let's go from here. You'll notice that we now have 280 results instead of the rather large list of about a little under 1,500 results. Consequences of parental underestimation and overestimation of youth exposure to violence. Sex and violence is exposure to media content harmful to children. You'll notice that each one of these actually seems to be on topic, which can be very beneficial when you're searching if you use subject terms to sort of weed out any articles that potentially might have the words that you're searching but are not actually mainly on the topic that you're searching. So these are sort of the quick ways of starting to evaluate the content. Remember that as you go through, you need to make sure, can you get access to it? Is it full text? Is it not? You'll notice here with this particular item, it says get it. And it should be available in the Camden Carroll Library. Let's see if we can actually get it. You'll notice that we are supposed to have access to this particular article, 2011, in our EBSCOhost electronic journal service and in Synergy Blackwell journals. Either one of these should get us to the article. And here's the article that we wanted. Here is the abstract. And to actually access the full text, all we have to do is open in this new window. So I realize that sometimes when you click to get to the full text using the Get It button, sometimes you have to jump through a couple hoops to get there, but you can get direct access to things if we do have it electronically. So hopefully this video can help you out a little in starting to actually process and start to really digest what you're actually seeing. And if you have any questions, please let me know. The research exercise will be covering most of this and really pushing you guys to go way beyond some of the keywords that you guys were producing for earlier exercises. So good luck.